As the sun begins to rise upon the field of Pelennor, the great siege of Minas Tirith is all but lost. Yet hope is not faded, and help is close at hand. Welcome back to Miniature Game Montage and our first Middle-earth strategy battle game battle report. We are in the learning phase of this game, so bear with us as we try out our first scenario. There will be some mistakes that we make, and I catch those after editing the footage. I will try to point those out, but if you're familiar with this game and see any errors or ways we can improve, please leave a comment below. We'll be playing the first scenario today, Charge of the Rohirrim. I believe the gist of the scenario is to help us get a grip with the rules, so we're going to play them out. We're on a 4x4 surface today, representing the relatively barren landscape of Pelennor Fields. The Rohirrim consist of 12 Riders of Rohan. 4 of them will have throwing spears. The forces of evil will consist of 24 Morannon orcs. 6 will have shields, 6 will have spears and shields, 6 will have just a spear, and 6 will have no additional equipment. To represent this, we have put an orange d6 by them as they are modeled with shields. The objective of this scenario is for the Riders of Rohan to get across the board while the orcs attempt to stop them. Good models will score 1 point for each of their models that move off the opposite board edge. The evil player will score 1 point for each good model destroyed. The forces of good will have the initial priority in this one. As a special rule, the cavalry are riding for ruin and the world's ending, which means they always count as charging even when charged. The Rohirrim have deployed in a column along the northern edge of the board, while the orcs occupy the south. Will this selection of Rohirrim be able to break through enemy lines and join King Theoden in battle? Turn 1 is coming up next, and I hope you enjoy. And in turn 1, with priority to the good side, the column of Rohirrim are going to advance forward with the archers ahead. The orcs have deployed entirely across the southern edge, and they are going to march the battle line forward, spears in the back. And with no shooting or fighting, we move directly into turn 2 priority rolls. Looks like the good player is going to take that with a 4 over a 3, and the column breaks. The front 4 Riders of Rohan remain stationary while the back 2 lines begin a dash down the left flank. Over for the orcs, a wheel maneuver begins to happen over on their left flank as they attempt to close in. In the shooting phase, we have our first shots of battle as these 4 Riders of Rohan are going to take shots into the orc line. 2 Riders of Rohan fire with their bows, needing 4s to hit, and both of those will hit the target. Strength 2 against a defense 5, 6s are required to slay, and that does not happen. 2 more of the Riders of Rohan will shoot, sinking 1 hit, and needing a 6 in order to kill. That does not happen. With no shooting from the orcs, we move into priority rolls for turn 3. And it looks like the Riders of Rohan are going to win the initiative. The Riders of Rohan are going to move at half speed, continuing to apply pressure on the left flank while dressing up a rank. There will be 2 Riders of Rohan at the bottom that move at full speed, and they will be unable to shoot this turn. With 4 riders in the back remaining stationary, we move back to the orcs, and they continue their wheel maneuver in. Bows notch again and loose from the riders that remain stationary. 2 shots requiring 4s in order to hit. Those are both going to hit, and strength 2 against a defensive 5, 6s are needed to wound, and it doesn't happen. 2 additional riders are going to fire into that line as well. They will get 1 hit, but again, needing 6s in order to cause damage, and that does not work. We do have some additional riders that moved at half speed, and they are going to take shots with their bows, plus 1 to hit here, so they will be hitting on 5s. 2 shots missed the mark. 2 other horsemen are going to fire as well, once again needing 5s. They do get 1, and it will need a 6 in order to kill. It doesn't work. More shots from the remaining Riders of Rohan, shooting these in pairs. We will get 1 hit here, and again, we fail to wound, so the line remains completely intact, and we move to priority rolls for turn 4. With the good side once again winning priority, we do see a clash of shields and spears. One of the Rohirrim on the left flank moves up and he throws his spear. It does miss, and he charges into contact. This negates that front enemy's control zone and allows this other rider of Rohan to sweep around the back, once again throwing that spear and engaging the spearman. The spear will miss, and he charges into contact. More riders of Rohan charge into contact, throwing their spears, and these spears will hit on 4s, and that one is going to hit. This orc does have a shield, so it is strength 3 against a defense of 6. 6s would be needed, and that fails. He charges into contact while freeing up his buddy to charge around the back. While another spear throw will connect, it does need a 5 here in order to wound, and that misses. The remaining riders of Rohan within range also launch a charge into the orcs, attempting to take away the control zone of this first orc and wrapping around and taking the spears where they can. The 4 riders of Rohan in the rear make dashes down the left flank, hoping something loosens up and they can move through. The orcs react to the charges by launching assaults of their own, and they are going to gang up on one of the riders of Rohan here. The rest of the formation swings down as they look to close the gate. With no shooting, we see the impact of the initial charges and the battle line that has been formed. In the fight phase, one of these horsemen is in trouble as he has 3 orcs swinging at him with 3 spears behind, 6 total attacks. And he does count as charging, giving the horseman 1 additional attack, so he will roll 2. That is not going to beat the 6, and these strikes are going to find their mark. Strength 4 against defense 5, a 5 is needed to slay that rider, and they do. Moving down the center of the battle line, the orc gets 1 attack here, not getting that assist as the other orc is engaged. He's going to lose that duel to the rider. The strikes are doubled as he is on the charge, and we count this as being a slain model, but he actually had a shield. This should have been 6s. We then branch off to the second combat here with another rider, 2 attacks against the orcs 1. The duel is won by the rider of Rohan, and he will be slain on a 5. Moving to the east on the battle line, we do have a Rohirrim rolling 2 dice for the charge here, and he's easily going to win this duel. He doubles the strikes against this orc. This orc does have a shield, so 6s are needed. We did catch that this time. The shield increases his defense by 1 to 6, strength 3 against a defense of 6. 6 is required. As we continue action, 2 riders now face off against the spear in the back. They easily win the duel, and they would double their strikes here, but they are going to roll 5s and 6s and take him out of action. On the flank, another orc engaged with a rider here, and the rider is going to lose this duel. The orc is strength 4 against toughness 5. He fails to wound, however, and the spearman in the back also going to win his duel, and he is going to strike that rider, also failing to find the mark. They are pushed off. So as the turn closes, we hope we got those rules right. That's the first time that we've seen combat, and we are moving over to turn 5. With priority rolls coming out, the evil player is going to get the initiative for this turn, and the orcs are going to continue to wheel their line down, closing in on the riders of Rohan. The orcs begin to charge into the riders of Rohan in pairs, getting support from their spears and doubling up where they can. With a new battle line formed, we move over to the riders of Rohan, and they are going to make charges of their own, trying to give some support where they can. And with a hole in the battle line, a few of these riders of Rohan are going to dart towards the southern board edge. Riders in the rear are going to make their way down as well, charging where they can and looking to shoot the gap on the bottom. With a new battle line formed and no shooting, we move right into the fight phase. And moving from right to left, we do have 2 orcs engaged with one of the riders here. 2 6s will give that duel to the evil side, and they do roll and slay that model. The next combat sees 2 orcs, one with a spear, giving the assist against another rider getting 2 attacks, always counts as charging. And it looks like the evil side is going to win that duel roll again, so 2 strikes coming out, there are no wounds. We repeat that process for the next pairing, but the Rider of Rohan is going to win this duel and is going to lay down 4 strikes onto this orc. This orc does not have a shield, so 5s would be needed to slay, and he does not get it. Combat continues with another duel roll being won by 2 of the Rohirrim, and strikes being resolved against the orc. They do slay 1, and that is going to open up a line down the flank. And moving to the bottom of the battle line, the Rider of Rohan will win another duel against the orc with a spear, and doubling the strikes, he will need a 5 in order to wound. He does not get it. With one more combat taking place, another duel roll is made, and this time the orc player is going to win, and a 5 would be needed to slay. He does take down another rider. The orcs have also penetrated the back of the line, and there will be 2 attacks coming across here. They are going to tie, and we go over to their fight value, which is also tied, so on a 4-up, the good player wins the duel, and it does not happen. The orcs are going to win this duel, and they will lay down 2 strikes against this Rider of Rohan. On a 5-up, the rider will be slain, and that is the 3rd Rider of Rohan taken down. With casualties massing on both sides, we move to the next turn, where the Rohirrim will take the initiative. We are going to see charges that take place on the eastern flank, and some of these riders are free. They are going to make dashes across the board trying to get points. We do have 2 riders that are going to move into scoring position for the next turn. And moving over to the orcs, they are redressing their lines, attempting to chase these riders down as the center bears down on that eastern board edge. And with no shooting, we move into the fight phase. The Rider of Rohan facing off against a spearman with a shield. He is going to win the duel, driving him back, doubling his strikes. And he will need a 6 in order to cause damage. He does not get it. The rider beside him also taking attacks, 2 attacks coming out against the orcs 1. And the Rider of Rohan will once again win that duel, doubling his strikes, moving that to 4, and he will get a 6 that is going to slay the orc. And with that, the turn comes to a quick end. The Rohirrim are hoping to get priority here. If they do, they can score some points. And that is exactly what is going to happen, as 3 of these riders are able to make it off the board, scoring 3 points. Remaining riders in the back are going to run 10 inches, trying to get into scoring position. They are riding along the eastern board edge as the orcs continue to chase them down. One of the horses unable to get away here and is caught by chasing orcs. Now, the one spearman in the back would have been prone, and we missed this. It cost him half his movement to stand, so he should not have been able to make that charge. It should have just been the pair that made it into contact. These are all things that we hope to improve on, and we move into the duel sequence. The Rider of Rohan is actually going to win here, out-dueling them with 2 dice versus their 3. And he is going to apply the strikes against this back orc. He does have a shield, so it will need 6s here. Rolling these 2 at a time, he's going to miss the first 2 and then assign the next 2 to him as well, and that orc is going to be fine. The orcs are pushed back, and we move to another priority sequence, and the good player hoping to get priority here, and they are going to lose. The orcs are going to get the initiative, and they charge into these riders attempting to get off the board. More orcs continue to pile down from the center, and the Riders of Rohan look to be in trouble. With the riders caught in combat, we do not have any shooting. We move into combat. The first duel takes place. They are going to tie. The fight values are equal, so on a 4-6, the good player will win. On a 1-3, the evil. and it looks like the orc is going to win this duel, and it will need a 5 in order to slay the rider. He does not get it. The rider beside him is also called up in combat. This is going to be 1 dice against 2. The Rider of Rohan is going to win that duel, doubling the strikes against him. And on a 5, the orc will be slain. It is not. He is knocked back and prone. With another combat taking place, the Rider of Rohan rolls up a 6, while the orcs only roll up a 5. Another duel is going to be won by the rider as he doubles the strikes. He is going to land a 6 and take one of those orcs out. We still have riders caught in the back here. 2 dice coming out against a 3 dice attack. And the orc player is going to win that duel with a 6, launches 3 strikes into the rider, and a 5 here will slay the model. He is going to get it, and another Rider of Rohan is taken down. And getting ready to roll up for a new turn, the Rohirrim starting to get on the back foot. And they are going to roll up a 4. The orcs are going to roll up a 5 and will get the initiative again, as these 2 orcs are going to stand from being prone and charge back into contact. A spear does come down to lend support, and they tie these riders back up with another round of combat. As the orcs continue to swarm the Riders of Rohan, the center continues to crush down, and more orcs are making their way to the fray. We do begin combat with the spears lending a lot of support. They get 4 total attacks against the Rider of Rohan's 2. They are going to win that duel on a 6 and strike that rider, taking him out on a 5 up, and that is another Rider of Rohan taken down. The 2 riders in the front, about the only ones that are in scoring position, are going to duel with the orcs here, and a victory will be taken by the Rider of Rohan as he only has 2 attacks. He pushes the orcs back and launches strikes, assigning 2 of them into one of the orcs in the front there with no shield. He does take one of them down, needing a 5. Another 2 will go against a spearman here that does have a shield, would need 6s here to take him out. That does not happen. We do have more attacks coming into the last rider here. 2 attacks from the Rider of Rohan. He is going to lose that duel. The orc player getting a 6. And then rolling for strikes, there will not be a 5, so they will be knocked back. We move into another turn, the orc player rolling up a 5. Rohan also rolling a 5, and the tie goes to the good player as they did not have it last time, and these 2 last Riders of Rohan are going to gallop off the board. With 6 Riders of Rohan slain and 6 riders making it off the board, that is going to bring our game to a 6-6 draw. The Rohirrim just barely make it out alive and look forward to joining King Theoden in our next battle. And that's all for our first battle report of Middle-earth strategy battle game. Really hope you enjoyed that. Hope we didn't get too much wrong, but looking forward to increasing our forces, playing out the rest of these scenarios, and potentially getting some additional armies involved. I certainly appreciate your support with a like on this video. If you'd like to see more of these, feel free to leave comments down below. Also, a big thank you, as always, to the Coffee Supporters Club. Your names are on the screen now, as well as on a piece of our terrain somewhere on the battlefields that we use. If you'd like any information on that, or any other completely optional ways to support the channel, links will be in the description below. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.